Hello and welcome to the Introduction to cPanel. cPanel is a graphical, web-based web hosting control panel designed to simplify administration of websites. You might even hear the term GUI used from time to time to describe cPanel, and basically that just stands for Graphical User Interface. Now all this stuff means is that cPanel has a bunch of easy to recognize images to show off the different applications. Now, we're going to check these out here in just a second. Now, I'm going to guess that you already have a domain name and a web hosting account, and that web hosting account offers cPanel and not Plesk or some other type of custom control panel. Now, you can access your cPanel control panel a couple of different ways, but you're going to need to go to your browser, and in this instance, you're going to enter your domain name /cPanel, that's C-P-A-N-E-L, and then we're going to log in with the username and password that was sent to us by our web hosting company in that first email we got when we first bought the service. Let's go ahead and do that first. Now I've got two different tabs here because these two tabs represent two different web hosting companies that I use. And that's going to demonstrate the different look or the different applications available depending upon the web hosting company you use. So in this case, we've got our domain name in there, /. Well, you'd think I've done this before. And then type in C-P-A-N-E-L. And had I not just logged in earlier, I would have been presented with a login box. Let me go ahead and log out like this. And in this case, I would enter the username and the password that I received in that initial email from that web hosting service. Now, as you can see up here in the browser bar, we've got this little padlock and the HTTPS. That signifies that we are logged in securely. Now let's do the same thing over here, and a different way to log in is you type in the domain name in the browser bar like we've got there, and instead of a / in cPanel, we put a colon, that's the two dots, and then a number, either 2082, that's the unsecure login, or 2083, like this, and that's the secure login method. So let's try the 2082. And we're presented with a box, and even this one looks a little bit different than the box presented to us on that other company. And here we are. Now, another thing, in addition to being logged in not securely, which is fine for the most part, we're also left with our domain name in the browser bar. Whereas with this one here, that's logged in, or in this case, not logged in, but if it were logged in securely, it would have the server name instead of the domain name in the browser bar. Let's go ahead and log out of here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Just 2083. And we're presented with the login box where we put the username and the password. Log in. And here we are with the padlock and the HTTPS and the server name. No longer is it showing the domain name. So those are the different ways in which you can log in. Now another way, which really isn't a way that's used very often, at least ways by me, and that is by using the IP address that is initially given to you when you first sign up with that hosting account. Because whenever you first sign up with a hosting account, you're providing them, for the most part, with a domain name that they can then attach to that hosting account. Now, instead of that domain name being immediately accessible to that hosting account, because it's got to propagate, as they call it, through the internet first, which can take a couple of days or so, instead of waiting for that, they give you, they being the web hosting company, give you an IP address that you can use to log in. Now, no matter how you log in, you're going to be presented with the same homepage, the same interface. And what's going to be different, though, whether you're logged in securely or not, let's go ahead and log into here real quick. So whether you're logged in not securely or securely, you're going to be presented with the same front page, the same interface. What's going to be different, though, is the applications available, again, depending upon the web hosting service you're using. For example, just at a quick glance, if I toggle back and forth between the two, you'll see one difference is right in here, where on this account, I'm given this particular application, R1 Soft Restore Backups, and that's not available on this one. But on this one, I've got, what is that, Anonymous FTP, but not on this one. No Anonymous FTP on this one. So again, it just depends. The thing though is that if you see an application or you encounter an application either through this video or another video or some other means, and it's something that you might be interested in using, simply contact your web hosting company and tell them, hey, what's the worst that's going to happen? They'll say no. But a similarity between cPanels, no matter what hosting account you're going to have, is the setup. You're going to have different panels with these different applications here. And on the left side, you're going to have a column of information, the stats, and you're going to have frequently accessed areas, which you can zip to by just clicking on the links here. These are areas that I've been frequently accessing, and you can do a search here, and there might be some notices in here too. Basically, I find this is more of an advertising area than anything else for the web hosting company. But under the stats here, be familiarized with what is available here, because in some scripts that you're going to use, they might require you to know the path to SendMail or the path to Pearl. So at least ways now you know where it is. You may not have to ever know what it is, but at least now you know where it is in case you need to know. And you can collapse those stats, which is usually the case by default. Now over here under the different panels you've got, you can drag these back and forth to your own personal preference. So speaking of preferences, if you find that you never use this one, stick that puppy down at the very bottom. Put one of the more frequently accessed panels closer to the top. Again, just for convenience, just for personal taste. Totally up to you. And you can also collapse these guys just to get them out of the way, like so. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on an introduction to cPanel. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a great day. In this video, we're going to create an email account for our domain name. In the Mail panel here, you just click on the Email Accounts, this guy right here, and then you enter the name for your email address right here. And if you've got several domain names assigned to this particular cPanel account, you'll have a drop-down box here, at which point you simply select the domain name that you want to create this email address for. Now, myself, I always create at least 3 email accounts for every one of my domain names. And this is just for me, but with a lot of different web hosting accounts, you can have an unlimited number of emails. Let's back up here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Over here on the left panel, under email accounts, you'll see here where I've got an unlimited number available. And currently, I've got only 3 of those unlimited created. So we come on back here into email accounts. The ones that I create for every one of my domain names is name, that would be my name, at, then the domain name. Another one is sales, at, then the domain name. And the third one is support, at, then the domain name. Now, like with this particular web hosting account, I can have as many different email accounts as I want. So, for example, if I were to hire some outsourcing work, I can assign an email account for that particular person or persons. And once they've completed their task, then I can just come in and delete that particular email account. So in this case, let's go ahead and add Joe at this domain name, give it a password, and I'm going to use the password generator because that's usually pretty solid. Just copy this, and you can always hit this generate password to change this, and you want to tick that box there. And you've got some advanced options here, but that's a little beyond the scope of this video. Go ahead and click on use password, and be sure and paste that or save that password somewhere because that's going to come in pretty handy later on. Now here under the mailbox quota, you can either go with the default amount, or you can choose unlimited, or you can adjust this. Now you can always come back later on and adjust this if you find that you're using close to or getting ready to exceed the mailbox quota space that you've allotted yourself here. So really that's why I always go with unlimited, but that's just me. Then just click on create account. Now you see I've already got an error here because that one already exists. Duh. Anyway, that's how you go about creating it, and you know now what will happen if you try to create 2 email accounts with the same name. That said, you can always come in here and change the password. You can change the quota right here. That's what I was talking about here. And you can always just delete it here. Let's go ahead and see what's under the more options. Oh yeah, you can access the webmail account, and you can configure an email client. This email client they're referring to here is kind of like your Outlook Express, or I think that might even be gone now, Windows Live Mail, or like in my case, I use Thunderbird, which is made by the folks that create Firefox. So we take a look at the access webmail. Tell you what, let's come on back here for a second. That would be this right here. Now, I don't use these myself because, like I said, I use Firefox. But anytime that you create an email account, they're automatically viewable here in any one of these because they all show the same thing. They just show them in different ways. For example, under Horde, this was probably the more powerful of the three. Click on Login. I say powerful because it also allows you to create filters, which is a little beyond the scope of this video, but you can create filters, you can do all kinds of stuff here. But here's where you can look at the inbox, the messages that have come in here, and these are the same things that would show up in my Firefox or my Outlook Express or my Outlook or Windows Live Mail or whatever third-party email client you might use. So we come on back here. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and get out of here altogether. If we were to take a look at the email account, then come on down here to configure email client. In the event you were going to use this with like Windows Live Mail or Outlook 2000 or Outlook Express, then you've got the ability to do so right here. They can walk you through the entire setup process, and you've got all the details over here that you're going to need to be able to effectively activate that third-party email client. And there's a lot of other things you can do by creating additional email addresses. For example, you might be able to set up autoresponders or mailing lists set upon a particular email address that you create here. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on creating an email account. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. In this video, I want to talk to you about creating email forwarders. And in the mail panel of your cPanel control panel, what we're talking about is these guys right here, forwarders. Now, while there may be several different reasons why you would want to create a forwarder of your email accounts, my main reason is time, saving time. Time is money, so in this case, I'm going to be saving money too. Now, as far as the forwarders, basically, what I mean by that is that I've got several domains, and each domain I have at least 3 email addresses assigned to that one domain. My name, sales, and support. Now, there may be several other emails, but that would just save me that much more time if I were to forward those also. So I forward each and every one of my emails to a main email account, and that main email account is kind of a catch-all for all my emails. So I need to go to one email address to check my emails, not a bazillion different email addresses, which takes a lot of time. Now, these forwarders, they allow me to see not just the email, but the email address they were sent to. So whenever I reply, then that reply comes from that particular email address, not from the one they were forwarded to. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, that's pretty much the why. Let's go ahead and tackle the how. Go ahead and click on the forwarders link. It's very simple too, by the way. Now, of course, to do this, you have to already have the email addresses created, which is done by clicking on the email account link here. So once you've got your email addresses created and you want to forward them to a different email address, click on Add Forwarder. Choose that email address that you've created, and if you've got several different domains, then you want to make sure you've got the right domain and the right email address that you're going to be forwarding. And this is my name at my domain name. I want to forward it to my main Gmail account. Assuming, of course, that would be my main Gmail account. Click on Add Forwarder, and it's done. That's how simple it is. And it shows right here what is taking place. Now, if we go back, there'll be a running list of all the email forwarders that you create here. You can use the trace link, and you can delete them. Now, if you wanted to just not worry about individual email addresses to be forwarded, you can just forward all of them that are assigned to a particular domain name using this option right here, the Add Domain Forwarder. The process is basically the same as adding a forwarder to an individual email address, only this way you're doing it to everything that might come into that domain in the form of an email. And that is how you create an email forwarder. In this video, I want to show you how to create a Gmail account, otherwise known as a Google email account. And there's a lot of reasons why you would want to do this, besides the fact that Gmail is simply free. By having a Google account, whether it's Gmail, as I'm going to show you here, or AdWords or AdSense or some other Google account, it opens the doors for you to be able to use a lot of different applications that are free if you got a Gmail or some other type of Google account. Applications like the Google Drive or the Calendar or Google Docs and so many more. So let's go ahead and go to Gmail or Google Mail. There we are, mail.google.com. And we want to create an account. And you may encounter different ways in which you can do this, but this is just one way. So we need to enter our name first and last, choose a username, and one tip here is that if you have a domain name, you may want to try putting that domain name in here so you have a Gmail account that can be used in conjunction with your domain name and email accounts with your domain name. Then we just throw in the password, confirm the password, put in your birthday, month, day, and year, and your gender, mobile phone if you want. If you don't have a mobile phone, just leave it blank. Put in your current email address. And frankly, in here, I just put in my main email address. And then just to prove that you're not a robot, you got this little CAPTCHA stuff to put in here. And then the location. Click on that box there to agree to the terms of service. And then click on the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video real quick while I fill out all this stuff here. As you can see, it's very straightforward stuff. The only hiccup might be your desired username might already be chosen by somebody else. So again, just play around with it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here for a second while I fill in the blanks. Let's go ahead and throw in a hard to guess password. And if you want to use this alongside of a Google +1 account, then you make sure that box is checked. And as you saw, it's checked by default. So I'd say go ahead and leave it checked. Click on next step and see if we got everything right on this page. And we did. There's our new Gmail account right there. And we click on this here. It'll take us to the next page where we're logging in. And you got your welcome emails. And if you've got the time, I would say go through the process here to learn more in the Help Center and throughout all the Gmail stuff, more about what you can use your Gmail account for. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on creating a Gmail account. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can quickly and easily create an email forwarder within your Gmail account. Now, once you've logged into your Google account, and in this case, I've logged in using my Gmail account, then you come on over here and you click on Gmail, if you haven't already done so. And once you're in your Gmail account, you come on over here to this little gear thingy, click on that. You got a drop down that shows up, go to settings, click on that. And right up here, you want to go to forwarding and pop/IMAP. Click on that, click on add a forwarding address. Type in the address that you want all of your Gmail that comes to this particular email account. Type in the address you want those to be forwarded to. Click on next. See how simple that was? Now, that's how easy it is. So just using this as a demonstration, you want to make sure that the address you put in that forwarding box is one that you own. But you can see here, though, that you can also resend that, or you can remove it and put in a different one, which naturally, if I were doing this for real, that's what I would do. So once you've confirmed that by clicking on the link that was sent to that email address, then all of the incoming email to this particular Gmail account will now be sent to that email account. Doesn't have to be Gmail. It can be any email account that you own. Now, why would you want to have your emails forwarded? Well, several different reasons. My main reason is that I have several different Gmail accounts, and this way I do not have to log into each and every one of those Gmail accounts to see if I've got new mail. I log into one main Gmail account, or non-Gmail account for that matter, and all of my emails can be seen right there. Again, whether they're Gmail accounts or non-Gmail accounts. And whenever I reply to the people that sent me the email, it's being replied from that particular email account, not the main one. So that way I'm not confusing the people that sent me that email to gardenmaker.com@gmail.com. I'm not confusing them by them receiving an email from joe@gmail.com. They're receiving an email from this email address, even though I'm composing that email from joe@gmail.com. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on creating forwarding email addresses. Thank you very much for watching. You have a great day. In this video, I want to talk to you about your logs panel in your cPanel control panel. Now, I've got two different tabs opened up here to represent two different web hosting accounts and the cPanel control panels within them. For example, this one here, if you go down and look at the logs panel, you can see we've got a few different options available here. But in this one, still cPanel, it's just a different web hosting account. You can see that there are different options available here, or applications. So if your control panel doesn't look exactly like one of these, don't worry. The basics that you really want to pay attention to under the logs panel is the latest visitors, bandwidth, and your AW stats, as well as your error log. Those are more than likely in every single cPanel setup on any type of web hosting account that offers cPanel. Again, latest visitor, AW stats, bandwidth, and error log. The error log mainly because if you have errors on your website, like broken links for example, then this can let you see them very quickly. No errors here, but that's mainly because there's no site there either. Let me take a look over at this other one here, and under error logs, and here's the information provided in most of these error logs. You've got the date that the error took place. You've got the IP address of the visitor that noticed the error. You've got the error right here, which in this case is, I believe, a 404. And you got different types of errors that take place. But if we use this top one here, if we scroll on over, this gives you the path to the actual error itself, and the page or file that is causing the error. So with this information, you can quickly get in and fix that error. So we come on back out of here, head on back over to home. That's the error log. The latest visitors gives you the IP address of that visitor, the page that they went to, the time they went there, the size of that file, where they came from, and the user agent, which is typically the browser that they're using. And we come on back here, go to home. And the bandwidth is something that you can monitor here in detail over here on the left panel. Usually it's right up here close to the top. Monthly bandwidth transfer. This gives you an idea as to how much bandwidth is being used throughout the month. So at this point, obviously, there's not much to worry about because there's hardly anything. There's nothing actually even registering, because as the usage takes place, you'll get a color guide here to kind of let you know at a quick glance if you are okay, or if it's getting into the red close to the end here, that you need to make some adjustments. But that's the monthly transfer right there at a glance. And to get the details, you click on the bandwidth link there, and this can give you the traffic for today, for the past 7 days, the past 12 months. And this information can come in very handy, especially if you're running campaigns or you've got product launches, and you can get an idea as to how much bandwidth you might need for your next campaign or your next product launch, so that you're not having your visitors seeing an error page, bandwidth exceeded, which is never a good thing, and that will definitely put a damper on your day. Here's the breakdown of this month for the HTTP usage. The three options here are pretty much your email stuff, and then the FTP. And then the combined matches that total bandwidth that I just showed you on that left column on the front page. So that's the bandwidth. If we come on back home here, and we check the most important one, in my humble opinion anyway, and that's the AW stats. This gives you a breakdown of all the traffic coming into your website. And you can choose the date right here for the particular report. Now, the reports or the information contained down here are broken down in different ways. You've got the monthly history, days of the month, and you can see the traffic here. And again, these can come in very handy if you are doing any type of product launches or campaigns to generate income. This can tell you how successful that was in driving traffic to a particular page or site, and the days of the week that are most effective to do so. I mean, if you alternate your campaigns on various days of the week, this information might tell you what would be a better day or what would be the worst days to try to start a campaign. Even the hours of the day. If you're trying to set up email marketing, you might find that sending out or scheduling your emails to be sent out at 11 a.m. might be a lot better than, say, at 7 a.m. And this takes everything into consideration, including the countries that are visiting your site. Now, since this is more of a demonstration site, these numbers are going to be skewed accordingly. At least ways now you know where you can go to get more information on the traffic coming into your site. And you've got a lot of information over here to the side that you can just simply click on to see if robots are visiting, if authenticated users are visiting, the countries, the days of the week. These are pretty much the breakdown of what we've already seen up here. You can scroll on down further to get even more information. And they all pretty much coincide with these clickable links over here. Click on this and it'll take you to this section of the report right here. So as you can see, all info junkies will love the free AW stats that come with your cPanel control panel. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on the logs panel in your cPanel control panel. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. Hi, in this video I want to talk to you about the security panel. Let's go ahead and scroll down and grab this guy right here in the title bar where you get the 4 arrows. Left click, hold, and drag that guy up to the top of the page here, so I don't have to keep scrolling down. Let's do that with this other web hosting account as well. And by the way, if you didn't know, now you do. You can in fact customize the look of your home page on your cPanel account. Now that here we've got these various applications within our security panel. The first one over here is password protect directories. Comes in pretty handy if you've got sensitive material, kind of like maybe zip files that you are marketing. And you don't want just anybody to be able to have access to those unless, of course, they've paid you for that access. Well, here you can put all of those zip files or other items you want to keep protected. You can put them in a directory or folder and make sure that that is password protected. And then you just simply email that username and password to the people you want to have access. IP Deny Manager. I myself like to avoid this, but it is there in case you want to use it. What this does, if we click on this link here, this allows you to deny access to your website files by people associated with a particular IP address. Now, let me just try to explain a little bit about an IP address. Where a home address would tell you where a particular person lives, an IP address is more like the zip code where a lot of people live. So if you were to use an IP address to block access for a specific person, well, you may block access for that specific person, but also everybody else that uses that particular IP address or range. And for that matter, they can probably get around it if they know what they're doing by using a proxy IP address. That's way beyond the scope of this video. Basically, what I'm saying is that for somebody that knows what they're doing, an IP deny manager really is not going to do much good. So where this might come into play is if maybe your customers or the visitors to your site are predominantly US or Canadian or European, you can put in an IP range for countries that you do not want to have access to your site because they could not be your customers for one reason or another. Then you might assign an IP range like what is shown here to assist in blocking anybody from that country or that region from having access to your files. So really that would be the only benefit I could see behind using an IP deny feature, but it is here just in case you wanted to. Let's head on back to home. Now you've got the SSL and the TLS manager. This allows you to generate and manage SSL certificates, keys, and signing requests. Now all of these are part of making your website more secure, kind of like this guy right up here. To be able to have your URL do this, where you got this little padlock thingy on the HTTPS, you need to have what's called an SSL certificate. And frankly, for me, it's pretty time consuming to not only learn this, but it's even time consuming once you've learned it to do it. I myself would rather spend a couple of bucks and it might even be somewhere between 20 to 50 bucks to have your web hosting service do this for you. And some might not even charge you anything to do this for you if you purchase your certificate from them. So if you click on this, just real quick, like you can see where you can generate your private key, your certificate signing request, and your certificates themselves. But again, this is something that I would be more apt to leave to the web hosting companies. They would take a day or two to do it, but that day or two you can spend doing something else that might generate you money instead of spending money. But at least now you know where that information lies in case it's something you want to check into, or if somebody has a question about your SSL certificate, you might be able to find an answer there. Now, SSH or shell access. The SSH stands for Secure Shell, which is basically a network protocol, kind of like FTP. only this guy here is a lot more secure than your typical FTP transfers. So with an SSH access, instead of using a username and a password that you do with an FTP setup, with these guys here, you're using a public key and a private key. Now with the correct keys, networked devices can then exchange or transfer data back and forth. And we take a look at this real quick. You can see here you've got a little video tutorial to kind of guide you through this stuff. And right here is where you can go into manage your private and public keys. Come on back home here. Hotlink protection comes in pretty handy if you have, say, images, for example, on your website that you don't want people to steal, or maybe if they do steal them, no big deal, but you at least don't want them to be sucking up your bandwidth. So if they're going to steal them, they should at least steal them and put them on their own server instead of using your bandwidth in the process. Let's take a look at this real quick, because sometimes there's not much you can do about people taking your stuff, but for them to take your stuff and to steal your bandwidth in the process, that's like a double slap in the face. So here's how you can protect your bandwidth. You may not be able to protect your stuff, but you can at least protect your bandwidth by enacting or enabling the hotlink protection. You put in the URLs here to allow access, and here you can create a page, an HTML page, for example, that says something to the effect of, this person does not have authorization to provide you with the image that should show here. If you want to see that particular image, go to the authorized URL, and then just put that URL on there. Again, whatever you want to put in here, if you want to put anything in here at all. You may just block it, so then they would just get an error on their website where they're trying to post that image and take your bandwidth in the process. And here you can put the different types of extensions, whether they're just images or even PDFs or zip files or whatever. Most of the time, though, this is just going to be to protect images, and that's why by default you've got the most popular image extensions here. And if you want to check this box here, you can. That allows direct request. Basically, if they enter the actual URL of the image into a browser, then the image would show. Myself, for true protection, I would just put in the URLs to my websites that have these images posted on them and just leave it at that. Make sure that I've got enable checked, and then if I do make any changes here, click on submit, and also make sure I've clicked enable, and then that hotlink protection is activated. So that's hotlink protection. And under leech protection, this is pretty cool, especially if I've got like some outsourcers, people that I trust, to do some work on a particular directory or folder, and I give them username and password access to that folder, and then they turn around and give that information to some of their friends. Well, with Leech Protect, I can put a stop to that. Let's go ahead and click on this guy right here. Let's assume that's the directory that I've given access to. Well, I can put in here a number of login attempts that once exceeded, something's going to happen. So if we put in, say, 4, which is recommended, you can put in whatever number you want. But if we put in, say, 5, and the 6th person tries to log in within a specific amount of time, in this case a 2-hour period, then that 6th person and anybody thereafter will get something other than access based on this information that I put down here. They might get redirected to another URL that I've got set up. The account might be deleted altogether if I check this box here. And I would definitely want to check this box and put in the email address to me so that I would be alerted each time that this took place. And I also have this option down here where I can disable compromised accounts, where basically if this were to take place, then I would get an email alert. They would also, the people after this login attempt would also be sent to a particular URL that I had set in here, but that account would also be disabled altogether. And then just make sure you click on enable to make that active. And of course, then you can come back in here and disable it if you wanted to. Now let's head on back home here. And GNU PG keys. These are used as a way to encrypt and decipher or decrypt emails or messages through the use of the public and private keys. You know, kind of like everyone would have the public key to my emails and can see the messages or emails, but could not read or know what all that gobbledygook was without the private key. If you take a quick look at this, you can create a new key. Just put in your name, email, nickname, whatever you wanted to put in there, and the key password. Put it in again. I would just use the password generator here. and the expiry date if you wanted to go with 1 year, 3 weeks, or just whatever you wanted. The key size, 1024, or you really want to get hairy, you can go all the way up to 4096. That's pretty difficult to guess. And then you can click on Generate Key. Or if you've got keys created elsewhere, you can use the import option here. But this is pretty heavy duty. So if you're not really into the spycraft and you're not really concerned with people having that kind of access to your emails, because I mean it's fairly secure for the most part, but if you are really super concerned about the possibility of somebody reading your emails, then you've got this option here. And don't forget, some of these items where I just kind of skimmed over, you've got the video tutorials here which might go into greater detail than what I covered on these individual items. For example, under the IP Deny Manager, just check out the video tutorial here, which might go over more in depth than what I did. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on the security panel. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. In this video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a password-protected directory or folder. That way you can keep all of your goodies in there that you don't want anybody getting access to unless you give them a username and password. Now it's pretty simple. Once you log into your cPanel control panel, scroll on down a little bit till you get to the security panel and then click on the Password Protect Directories icon. And that'll bring you into this area here where you can see I've already got this particular folder password protected, and you've got the little icon over here that shows a little padlock. So that's what it looks like once you get one protected. So let's go ahead and create a folder and then password protect it. Let's come on back home here. We're going to go into the File Manager. Now this is of course if you already don't have a folder or directory you want to protect. I'm going to go ahead and create one from scratch. And let's click on Create Folder. And there we are. Now then, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that folder in an unprotected state. I think I capitalized those. We'll see. Yep, there we are. And inside of that is nothing. It's an empty directory. So at this point, with it being totally unprotected, anybody can gain access to this. So let's go ahead and change that. Come on back here. Go into the security panel. Click on Password Protect. And now then, let's select that particular directory. Come on down here, check that box if you want to protect it. Don't check it if you don't want to protect it. And then give it a name. You can name it anything you want to. It doesn't have to be the same name as the folder you're trying to protect. There, I even have it as a different name. And then we click on Save. And now it's protected, but no one can have access to it because there's no username or password associated with this particular directory yet. Let's come on back here and test this. Now, if everything works out properly, a box should pop up asking for a username and password. Just like that. But since there isn't one yet, we don't have one to put in there, so we're going to cancel out of this, and that's what you're going to get. Let's come on back here and create a user and a password. And you're not limited to the number of users or passwords you can create for this. And you can either enter your own password here, or you can use a password generator to create a very strong password. And then click on Add Modify Authorized User. And there we are. That's the username, that's the password. Click on Go Back. And if you want later on to delete this username, just select it, click on Delete User, boom, they no longer have access. Now then, let's go ahead and come on back here and see about that box popping up there. Now I've got that password in my clipboard. Go ahead and paste that in there, and me. And this should get us back to the index page like this. And that's how simple it is to create a password protected directory. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a great day. This video is going to show you how to create a MySQL database. And yes, it's pronounced MySQL, not MySQL. So the next time you're at a dinner party discussing databases, and frankly, why would you be at a dinner party discussing databases? But that's a different story altogether. Now you won't sound so much like a dork. It is pronounced MySQL. Many applications or scripts require the use of databases to manage a boatload of information for them to work properly, and knowing how to create a simple database will save you time and money from having to hire somebody else to do this very simple task. Well, simple once you know how. I've got a little bonus for you close to the end of this video, so don't go anywhere until the video finishes, okay? Okay, let's get started. Oh, and be sure and have a notepad or pen and paper handy to copy some of this info down. It's going to come in pretty handy. Now, we log into our cPanel control panel. Come on down here to databases. And right here under MySQL databases, you just click on that. And there's going to be three things you're going to need to copy down. That's the name of the database, the name of the username, and the password for that username. So starting at the top, working our way down, we want to give the database a name. Now this is the prefix, which is going to be part of the database name and database username, but we're not going to need to enter that. It's already part of the whole mix. Let's just give it a name and click on Create Database. See, pretty simple so far. And that's the name of our database right there. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that down into a text document. And by the way, these three items, that being the database name, the database username, and the database username's password, these three items are what's going to be required for most scripts that are requiring the use of a database to be able to connect that database to that script. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate for you here at the end of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, add that to a text document. Now, for simplicity's sake, what I usually do is give the username the exact same name as the database name. And so far, I've never run into any problems doing things this way. So, hey, if it ain't broke, why fix it, right? So, coming on down here, I want to give the username a name. And I always use the password generator to create a very strong password. So let's just click on that, and if I'm not happy with that one, which I don't know why it wouldn't be, but if I wasn't, then I can click on this to generate a new one until I was happy with a nice, hard to guess password. Copy that into my clipboard, check that box there, click on Use Password, and it tells you right there you've got a 100 by 100 very strong password. Click on Create User. I'm going to go ahead and paste that password right here because that's still in my clipboard. And the username, again, is the same. In this case, it's the same as the database name. Now, you don't have to do that. You can give these two guys here totally different names. Again, I'm just doing this for simplicity's sake, and frankly, that's the way I always do things. Go back. Now, we're almost done. We've got the database name created, we've got the username created, and we've got a password for that username. Those are the three items that we're going to need to assign this database to function with a script. But we need to assign this user certain abilities for that particular database. So to do that, we want to come on down here, add user to database. And you can, in fact, add different users to this same database, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Right now, I just want to add this user we just created, test, to this database that we just created, test, and click on Add. And we're almost done. These are the various privileges for that database. Now, there are some scripts, very few, but some scripts that only require you to have certain permissions or privileges for that database to work for that username. Most of the time, I just don't want to come back here later on and add a particular privilege. So I just check that box right there, give them all the privileges. Again, unless specifically telling you not to, I just go ahead and grant all privileges to that user for that database, click on Make Changes, and we are good to go. Go back. And we're done. That database is created. It's got a username created. That username is assigned to that database. And if you ever wanted to get rid of that particular user, click on Delete. If you ever wanted to get rid of that database, click on Delete. Now, if you want to totally clear things out, you want to delete both, that being the database and the user. Now, as you can see right now, that database is completely empty. Let's head on over to our PHP admin to take a look at the inside of that database. And we come on down to the databases panel, and that's the PHP My Admin right here. Now, if you have several databases created, then they're going to be listed for you over here. And this is the one I want to show you right here. This is the one we just created, and there are no tables to be found here. Now, what I want to do is I want to import tables that I exported from a WordPress installation. And if we come on back here, let me show you. This is a WordPress database that's fully stocked. These are the various tables, and some of these tables have items. Actually, all these tables have something in there. Well, okay, well, most all these tables have something in there, and that's what we're going to almost replicate. So I'm not exactly sure where this WordPress site's located at, but come on back here. That's what it's going to look like here in a second for this guy. Now I want to import the SQL file that I exported from a previous installation of WordPress. So I click on import, and I want to leave all this stuff pretty much the way that it is, especially if the file I'm going to be importing is an SQL format and not one of these other guys. And I know that it's an SQL format. So right now I want to choose file, navigate to the location where I've got that SQL file, then select it, click on open. And you see right here in this particular instance, I've got a maximum file size allowed of 50 megabytes. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. Just depends on your web hosting company. And then once everything else is set up the way that I want it, and by default most every single time it is, click on go, and it's doing its thing. It's populating that blank database with all those tables from that imported SQL file. And as you can see down here in the lower left corner, you got the progress going. We're almost completed. And import has been successful. Got 247 queries executed, and here we are. We can see all the various tables that were imported or created from that imported file. And come back here and look at the structure. There you go. And that's how you can not only create a MySQL database, but how you can import an SQL file to automatically populate that database. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on how to create a MySQL database. Thanks for watching. This video is going to show you how to easily create a fully functioning website without having to know any coding whatsoever. Just a few clicks of your mouse button and boom, you've got yourself a website. Now we're going to log into our cPanel control panel, scroll on down to just about the bottom of the page, and in the software services panel, usually that's where it's going to be located at, is going to be Fantastico Deluxe, the blue smiley face. Now there are other options that are similar to this, but not all cPanel setups have them. For example, Softaculous I prefer to use over Fantastico Deluxe. Another one similar to Softaculous is called Simple Scripts, but these two items are not available in all cPanel setups. Fantastico Deluxe, however, is. So that's what I'm going to be using to demonstrate how easy it is to create a website. We just click on that, come in here, click on WordPress. It'll bring up the WordPress installation setup here. And you want to be sure and have a pen and paper or a notepad or some kind of a text document set up so that you can record the login details you're going to input here, so that whenever you want to get into the admin area of your new website, you'll have that stuff handy. As a matter of fact, on the topic of organization, now is a good time to begin if you haven't already. For every website you're going to create, you should have a folder with that website's name in it. And inside of that website's folder, you should have a couple other folders, one titled Backup, where you'll keep all of your regular backups. Another one, for example, might be titled Images, where you'll keep all of the images related to that website in that particular folder. Again, these are just tips to keep things as organized as possible from the get-go. Another item you should have in that folder is a text document, like the one I'm talking about here, that will contain your username, your password, any other items you might record that can be used for that website. For example, maybe you're going to set up a Google email account specifically for that website. In there, in that text document, you can have that Gmail account and the password related to that Gmail account. Anything else you might have related to that website should be in that folder. Again, just a tip on keeping things organized. Now then, let's create our website. Go ahead and click on New Installation. And if you're going to install your website, your WordPress website, directly on your domain, then you want to leave this box blank, just like it says right here. If you want to install this on, say, a niche-specific directory, like maybe you've got a niche on dog training, well then you might put in dog training here. Now, like it says here, if you are going to use a subdirectory, then you want to make sure that subdirectory folder does not already exist. WordPress will create it for you. If it does already exist, then you're going to get errors and it just won't work. So I'm going to go ahead and type in dog because let's say I've got a niche on dog training or dog food or dog goodies, whatever, and it's going to be a nice fit for my WordPress website. Now, to get to this WordPress installation after it's installed, I would, inside of the browser bar, I would type my domain name /dog, then that would bring me to my website. Now, here's what we're going to want to copy down on that text document, because this is what's going to be required to log into our administrator area of our WordPress website. Here you want to put in the admin username and the admin password. Make sure that this is not admin, because that's the one thing that people that are trying to break into your website, and unfortunately there are a lot of them out there, they're going to already assume that your username is admin, because back in the day that was the case. It was kind of hard-coded into your WordPress installation. So you do not want to use admin as your username. You want to make this difficult to guess, and you want to make your password difficult to guess. For the password, I tend to keep it at 12 characters or more, and I use those special characters like along the top part of your number keys on the top part of your keyboard. Add numbers, lowercase, uppercase letters. Again, make it as difficult as possible for somebody to guess, and your site will be that much more secure as a result. Now, after having said that, for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to use test for both the username and the password. This is a do as I say, not as I do situation. Now, the nickname, the admin email, the site name, and the description are all items that you can change later on. You cannot change the username later on. I mean, there's a way around that, but that's beyond the scope of this video. And you can change the password later on, but again, that's beyond the scope of this video. But these 4 items you can change once you get your installation taken care of. Log into the administrator area, and there's a spot in there where you can put in a new nickname or your admin email or a site name, even if it's different than the actual site you're on, and the description of this site. But I'm going to leave these blank for the time being. Click on Install WordPress. Finished installation. And you see right here, this is the link that you would put in the browser bar to access your website. Now, at the time that it's taken me to explain this, we could have built 4 or 5 different WordPress websites. That's how quick it is. And you can get to the admin area right here, which I'm going to go ahead and do. And as soon as we're logged in, we can see that there's a brand new version available. That's one of the drawbacks to using Fantastical Deluxe, is that it rarely has the most recent version in its setup process. Not that big of a deal, because I'm going to show you just how quick it is to update things. I'm going to go ahead and just X out of this. And this, by the way, is the back end or the dashboard area of your WordPress installation. Let's come on up here to Updates. And by the way, we have a WordPress site installed already. And then we want to click on Update Automatically. This will update the version of our WordPress from the 3.1 that it currently is to the 3.5.1 that is the brand new version as of the recording of this video. Come on back into the dashboard area here, click on Updates, and we can see now that we have the latest version of WordPress. Let's take a look at our site. Rather plain Jane, but we have ourselves a website, and all of this is customizable too. But that's beyond the scope of this video. Right now, we have a WordPress site that we can quickly add pages to, we can add images to, we can add videos to, and we've got our main homepage right here that we can have with or without a sidebar. All kinds of customizations that can be done with the WordPress website. But right now, we have a website. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on how to create a website using cPanel. Thanks for watching. You have a great day. This video will demonstrate how easy it is to change the look of your website by simply changing the theme. The theme in WordPress is pretty much like that of a book cover of a book. The contents of the book remains the same, but with a new book cover, or theme as it is in this case, you're changing the look, the outward appearance of that book. And that's what we're going to be doing with our WordPress site by changing the theme. It's very simple once you know how. Let's go ahead and log into our what's called the back end or the administrator area. Since I'm already logged in, I was able to access this by just clicking on that link. If you're not already logged in, then what you want to do is type in wp-admin right after your URL. Then it will prompt you to enter your username and password. A little box is going to pop up, and it'll ask for your username and your password. Enter that information, and then you'll end up here. Now at this point we want to go to Appearance, go to Themes, and all the themes, whether it's the default themes or even what's called third-party themes, are installed and activated the very same way. Now these three are already installed, but you only have one active theme. Let's go ahead and install another theme. Come on up here to Install Themes, and you've got a few options here. You can upload a theme that you've downloaded to your computer, in which case you just click on that link, choose File, navigate to that zip file on your computer, and then once it's selected, click on Install Now, bing bang boom, it's done. Then all you have to do is activate that newly installed theme. Then that activated theme will be the one that shows up on the front end. Now you can also search for new themes through Featured. All these themes here are currently located in what's called the WordPress.org theme repository. Likewise with the newest or recently updated, or even if you go back here to search where we were at the very beginning, these are themes that are searched by keyword from within the WordPress.org repository. Let's go ahead and go to Featured just to demonstrate how easy it is to install and activate a brand new theme. Oh, let's just go through here and eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's try this guy right up here. Yeah, how about that one? That's got some colors to it. Page lines. Install now, or you can preview it, which basically will let you see what it looks like. I can pass on that. Let's go ahead and close this one out. Come on back here and let's take a look at this guy right here. Preview. Okay, yeah, it's kind of plain, but for the sake of this video, I think it'll work. Let's go ahead and click on Install. And you've got some details about it here as well. Now at this point, you can either live preview it, you can activate it, or you can return to the theme installer. Let's go ahead and do that. Return to theme installer. Actually, let's just come on back to themes. And you can see the one that is originally installed and activated, the one that's currently on the browser. But this is what it looks like whenever you have a newly installed theme. And if we wanted to, we can simply just activate it, and then it will be the one that shows up in the browser. Go ahead and click on Dismiss to get that out of the way. And at this point, if we come on over here and check out the Visit Site link, and I'm going to open that up in a new tab so we can have both these opened. This is what our site looks like now versus, let's go ahead and reactivate this guy here. And let's take a look at it now. This is what it looks like originally. This is what it looks like with the new theme that we just activated. And with the new theme activated, you can come up here and customize it. You can add widgets, menus, and other theme-related items that are specific to that particular theme. In other words, you won't find some of these options available with some of these other themes. If we come on into here, go back into themes, you see here you don't have the same options available here as you do here. So again, some of these items are theme specific, but it's rare that you'll be able to break anything by just playing around with this stuff. Worst case scenario, you can always go back and activate one of the default themes and you'll be good to go. And that's an introduction to adding a new theme to your WordPress website. This video will show you how to add functionality and some cool features to your WordPress website by way of adding what's called plugins. If we log into our dashboard area, and you can do that by putting your URL to your website in the browser bar, then typing /wp-admin, and then if you're not already logged in, then it will prompt you to log in by popping up a little box here that asks for your username and your password. Enter those two details and then you'll end up here. At this point, we come over here to plugins, go to installed plugins. This will show you all of the currently installed plugins, and as in this case, if there are new versions available, in which case you could update now. I would go ahead and make it a point to keep all of your plugins, all of your themes, even your core installation fully up to date. It's just a good practice to get in. Now, these are your current list of plugins, or at least ways my current list of plugins. If you wanted to activate these plugins, or if you wanted to edit them, which until you're really familiar with what you're doing with these programs, I would not mess with that. Or you can also delete the plugins, because even by editing a plugin, it can in fact damage your entire site. So you want to be wary of that little link right there. Now, if you wanted to add new plugins, which is kind of the gist of this video, you come on up here to Add New, or over here under the Plugin subpanel, you can click on Add New here, and that'll take you to the same place, which is here. And you can see the links to the popular tags here. So this can give you an idea as to what a lot of other people are adding to their WordPress website by way of plugins related to Facebook or Google or images and Twitter and widgets and so on. Or if you've got something specific in mind, maybe you read an article somewhere about this particular plugin or that particular plugin, you can type it in here, click on Search Plugins, and it will go to what's called the WordPress.org plugin repository. Now, a little heads up here. Now, there are literally thousands of plugins on the market. Some are better than others. However, there are a few that you would probably want to steer away from. To be on the safe side, when you're first starting out, you really only want to stick with the plugins that can be found inside of the WordPress.org plugin repository. If not, then you want to be a little careful. Now, that being said, there's a lot of premium that being paid for plugins that are fine and dandy that will not be found in the WordPress.org repository, because all of those plugins are free. The ones that I'm referring to be wary of are the free plugins that are not found in the WordPress plugin repository, because those plugins might have some bad code installed on them that once installed on your website, that creator, that plugin creator, might now have a backdoor access to the inside of your website and may not have good intentions. So you want to be wary of getting free plugins outside of WordPress.org. Okay, all that said, I'm off my soapbox now. Let's go ahead and check out these options. Upload is where you can upload a plugin zip file that's already been downloaded to your computer. Featured, popular, newest, and favorites. These are all taking you directly to the WordPress.org repository, or plugin directory, as I guess it's also called, but they're doing so from within your website. So you're never leaving the comfort of your website. Let's try featured. And inside of here, you can see some of the featured plugins. And here you can get the ratings. You can get a bit of a description of that particular plugin. But to install one of these plugins, you just simply click on Install Now. And it'll give you a little message here warning you, are you sure you want to do this? Which is cool, because that way it just gives you a chance to back out if you don't want to. Then you just click on OK. And at this point, the plugin is being installed, but it's not active on your site yet. We go back here to Plugin Installer. And if we go to Install Plugins, because there's a difference between an installed plugin and an activated functioning plugin. Right now, this guy is installed on our WordPress website, but it's not active. To activate it, you just click on Activate right here, and it's good. Or you can select it and then click on Delete. And you'll get this option here to make sure that you do want it deleted. Click on Yes or No, and now you're back to where you were. And that's an explanation of how you can add additional features and functionality to your WordPress website by installing and activating plugins. This video is going to show you how you can quickly and easily customize your error pages. Let me first tell you what an error page is. You may have encountered them before if you've been on the internet any length of time. For one, you might enter a URL to a page on a website that actually does not exist. Maybe you got an incorrect URL from the creator of the website. Maybe you just entered it incorrectly. It could be a host of things. Maybe the website's just down for maintenance, whatever. Let me demonstrate here what a 404 error page is. In this example, a 404 error page is what you're going to get whenever you enter a URL to a page that does not exist. And this is what you're going to get whenever a page that you typed in up here does not exist. Now, there's a bunch of other error type pages as well. If you're trying to access a page that is password protected, it might come up and say forbidden. I think that's a 403 error page. There's a bunch of different types of error pages, starting with the 4, like 400 something. Another one starting with 500 something. That's more serious. That's more of a server type error. And I think there's even some like in the 300s that start with 3s. Here, let's go ahead and take a look. come on back to our cPanel control panel, scroll on down to pretty close to the bottom in the advanced panel, and click on error pages. And if you've got several different domains or even add-on domains assigned to this particular cPanel account, you'll have a drop-down box right here. Let me show you. I think I've got one over on this one. This is a totally different web hosting account that I just toggle back and forth to kind of show you the differences between two different web hosting services. And here we go. Yeah, this one will show all the different domains that I've got assigned to this cPanel account. So whether it's add-on domains or just additional main domains, if you've got more than one, you'll have this drop-down box here. And if you wanted to customize your error pages, they will be domain specific. So make sure you choose the one you want. And in this case, there's only the one. So we come on down here, and these are the most popular error pages. And if you want to see all of them, you can click on this, and it will show you all the possible error pages in existence, at least insofar as your web hosting service is concerned. Now, a lot of these I would just simply not mess with, but you have the ability to customize them if you wanted to. And I'm going to demonstrate that with the 404 error page like the one I just showed you. Let's come on back here to the common error codes, and you just click on the little pencil icon here to edit it. And you've got some options here. You can just type in direct text, or you can type in HTML. And you've got these special tags up here that will document, for example, the visitor's IP address, maybe the requested URL, to let the person that is seeing the error page see that, okay, I see where I made the mistake. It's not actually this, it's this. So you can put in the tag that shows the requested URL, and that will show them this / and then this page right here. And you can do that by adding this particular tag. Just click on that button and it shows it right there. Here, let me demonstrate. Let's back this up here just a second. And I've got Composer, which is a free HTML editor. Got that open, and I just created this HTML page pretty quick. Just something customized. And what I want to do here is just grab the source, and that way all the color, the link, all this stuff, if I had an image in here, everything that's in here, by me grabbing the source, all of this here, from HTML to HTML, I don't need this stuff up here. This way I'll be able to keep all of this information intact. And if you're not familiar with using Composer, maybe you've got a different HTML editor, you can create a website or a website page, post it on the internet, and then just go up to, let me get this out of the way, go up to the page anywhere you've got it, right click and view page source, and you can select all of the HTML code here and do the same exact thing. Okay, but I'm demonstrating this using Composer. Now in this case, I just put my cursor right up here at the very top, click on paste, and all this stuff right here will show the exact same way as it did on Composer. Now if I wanted to, I can come on down here, and this video is not on HTML, so I'm not going to bother too much on what all these codes and stuff mean. Just showing you that you can do this. I'm going to put in here, and then hit that, and let's say, and that. Okay, now then, and while limited, you do have some formatting options here. Frankly, I would much rather do this stuff in a editor like I just did with Composer, and then copy and paste it into here. Go and click on Save, go back, and here's the normal or default 404 error page, and there we are. That's the customized. Now I didn't add some HTML code to bring these guys down. Let's go ahead and go back here and do that now. 404, I want to re-edit this, and right here, this is just putting a break between the two lines of code, so that will bring this down on a second line all on its own. Likewise with your IP address on another line all on its own. That's what this stuff's going to do. And click on Save. Go back, come back here, refresh, and there we go. And that is how you can quickly and easily create a customized error page. And this is not just for the 404 error page, but you can do the same type of customizations to any of the other error pages. Of course, you want to make them specific to that type of error. Something like this will not work on a 403 forbidden page, but I think common sense will play a little bit in that. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that let's say you come on in here and you no longer want this customized error page. You want to delete all this stuff and go back to the way that it was. Well, the problem with that is just by deleting that does not bring it back to the way that it was. Let's refresh and I'll show you. This is what it is now. To get it back to the way that it was, because you should have some type of an error message in here, whether it's the default or the one that you customize. But to get it back to the way that it was by default, you want to go into the file manager for that particular domain you added that customized page on. Go into file manager, and there'll be an SHTML page in there for the error page that you customize. In this case, it's the 404. Just select that, delete it, and refresh, and there we are, back to square one. And that is how you can customize your error pages. This video is going to show you how to create a favicon, which is short for favorites icon. In other words, anytime that you encounter or somebody else encounters your website page and they want to save it in their bookmarks or favorites, well, it's going to have a little icon up here in the tab. This is the Chrome browser, by the way, and it's a little bit different in different browsers, but tabs or windows, there's going to be a little icon up here, and in the browser bar here, there's going to be a little icon, and if we open up the bookmark section here, scroll down until we get beyond the folders and into the actual favorites here. You can see how these icons over here next to the website page kind of stands out more than those that do not have the favicon or favorites icons. Well, that's what I'm going to show you how to create and add to your website. And this can be done with a typical HTML website or a WordPress website, but I'm going to show you how to do it with a standard HTML website like this guy here. I just grabbed this out of my hard drive, and it was just a web page that I had laying around, and I've got it under demo. But this is the icon right here that I'm going to have look similar to this. Well, it's not going to look like that, but it's going to have its own icon that we're going to create now. Now, if you do a search online for favicon creator, you're going to have several options to work with. I'm going to show you how to do it with this guy here. It's the favicon.htmlkit.com/favicon. And it's pretty simple too. You've got an image, for example, if you've got a logo that you're working with on your website, that would be a great place to start. I'm just going to use one that I've got just laying around for a cPanel icon. So we want to first go over here to choose file. What a lovely dog. And you want to navigate to the location of your image that you want to turn into your favicon. And that's a pretty big image, by the way, but that's one thing you don't have to worry about because it's going to customize it and bring it down to size. So generate favicon ICO, and there it is. Now if we go back here, let me go ahead and show you that image. I'm going to bring this in. I want to show you just how big that image is. 612 pixels wide by 287 pixels. So you can see it's kind of like that big, but this program brings it down to size. Now, it's probably not the best example, but you can see what it will look like right here as a demonstration. And you've got some other customized options here that you can work with, but I want to try to keep things simple. We're going to go ahead and download as is, and it creates a little zip file for us. Put that in my working folder. And it's not a lot. There's 2 images and a little text document. So let's go ahead and open up that zip file and show you what's inside of it. Again, you've got 2 images here. This is really the only one that I want to mess with. This one here would be animated if you chose to customize your favicon by using the animated GIF, but I didn't, so I'm not going to bother with that one. But if we open this up here, this gives us the instructions on what all to do. Basically, at this point, since we're not going to use the animated GIF, this is the only line of code that we need. So I want to copy that into my clipboard. Now I also need to upload this ICO file into the root directory of that domain. So I'm going to open up my FTP client. I'm going to be using Qt FTP. Now you can do the same thing with the free alternative, FileZilla. And I've already logged into the location of that root directory of that particular folder. and that's this right here. So now I need to navigate to that image, which is desktop working. Here we are. Inside of that folder, and that's the ICO file right there. Upload. Now this is the index.html file that I need to edit and add that code, a little line of code that I've got copied into my clipboard. So I need to put this, just like it says here, in between the opening head tag and the closing head tag. Let me show you where that's at. I can edit this index file while it's live on my server using QtFTP, and you can do the same thing with FileZilla and other FTP clients as well. Click on edit, and here's the opening head tag, and if we scroll down we'll find the closing head tag right here. So anywhere in between there, I'm going to go right after the style there and enter it there, and I want to save, and that should do it. Let's go ahead and minimize our FTP client, minimize our folder there, come on back here and refresh. And it might take some time. This time it was instant, but sometimes it'll take a little bit of time to propagate, as they say, and it might be different in different browsers too. It might not show up in the Internet Explorer browser for 24 to 48 hours. But if somebody were to come to this page right now and click on save it in their favorites, then it's also going to assign this particular icon or favicon to that web page in their favorites. That way it's going to stand out a lot. So it's just another way in which you can brand your web pages by using a favicon or favorites icon. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on how to create and install your favicon. Thanks for watching. You have a great day. Now, one of the most important tasks you're going to need to do on a regular basis is a backup of your online projects like website files or maybe even databases also. Now, on occasion, you might have to restore one of these backups in order to fix your broken website or busted database. This video will cover both the backup and the restore process. Now, once you're logged into your cPanel control panel, in the Files panel, you're going to see a couple of options here, Backups and Backup Wizards. In most cases, you'll see these two options. The Backups, click on that. It'll bring us to this page here, and it's good to read this right up here to let you know that pretty much this full website backup isn't going to do you much good as far as restoring your broken website to its unbroken state. These are only good for archive purposes. So I'm not even going to mess with this. For this demonstration, we're going to go down here and either download the home directory, download one or all of your databases, and or email forwarders and email filters if you have those created. Frankly, I'd want to get a backup of anything and everything related to any and all of my websites. And if you've got a WordPress site created, for example, or any other script that relies on the use of a database, then you're going to want to also download the associated database to that script that's included in the home directory backup. So that's why I would just go ahead and download everything into a folder that has a date on it. That way you know that in that folder that's dated that specific date, you have a full backup of everything that was on your web server at that time. So go ahead and do this. Just click on home directory. Navigate to the location on your computer where you want that file to be downloaded to. And again, I would create a folder, give it a date, maybe label it also backup for such and such, and then click on save. Now you can see here, it's not your typical .zip file. It's a .tar.gz file. And by default, I do not believe that your Windows decompression software will actually work with a tar or a GZ zip file. You might need to try something like the free 7-zip, which is what I use. It'll unzip anything. Anyway, go ahead and download this. And frankly, you would only want to unzip it if you're curious, because you do not want to restore or upload the unzipped file or folder. Whenever you go to choose the folder or file, that being the home directory, you're going to want to look for the zipped file, just as you had downloaded it. You select on that, click on open, and it will begin the restoration or the upload process. Now, as far as the specific databases, the same exact thing. You would click on the databases, and I would go with all of them and download them into the same exact dated folder I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this because I think you got the idea. Same with the email folders if you've got any of those, and any filters that you've already created as well. And that is how you can quickly and easily get a full snapshot or a backup, and how you can also easily restore from that backup the folders that represent your web server up to a specific date. Now, if you wanted to do this the old-fashioned way, the manual way, you would come into the File Manager, and if you had a specific site that you wanted to back up, for example, I've got a WordPress site here under the dogs directory. Open that up. I would just simply select every one of these files by clicking on this guy right here. It says Select All. Then I'll come on up here and click on Compress. Click on Compress Files. Actually, I would want to give it a name, like, for example, the date, and then maybe tell me what it is. That way I've got the date and the fact that it's a WordPress site and the name of that particular WordPress site, so I know what it is. And then I would simply compress the files, and it's not going to do any harm to the site itself, because what it's going to do is, let me go ahead and reload. It's going to, in addition to having all these other files, it's going to also include this zip file. What I would want to do is get this onto my computer by selecting it, downloading it to my dated folder, so if anything were to happen to my WordPress site here in the future, I could just upload this zip file, and then with it selected, I would click on Extract, and then it would extract all of these folders and files that were contained in this zip file to begin with. Now, with a WordPress site, you also have the associated database, so you would want to download or export that database that's associated to the site. And just to make sure I've got the right database, I would click on the wp-config file, and I'd want to view and see what the database name is. That's the WRDP1. Don't need this anymore. Come on down to my databases in the PHP My Admin, and I'm looking for the WRDP1 database. Click on that. Come up here, click on Export. Make sure it's in the SQL format, because you see there's other ones here too. Just make sure it's in SQL. Click on Go. Everything else is pretty much the way that I want it. And then navigate to the location on my computer where I want that at. And again, that should be the dated folder where my zip file is for that associated WordPress site. Click on Save. Bing, bang, boom. I've got the database, the WordPress site in a zip file. Everything's downloaded and ready just in case my database and or site goes kaplooey. I would be able to fix it in just a matter of minutes, depending upon my internet connection and how fast I can upload those files. And that's it. That's how easy it is for you to do a custom backup and restore, as well as taking advantage of the built-in backup operations of cPanel. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. This video is going to show you how to create a simple redirect using your cPanel control panel. Now, for me, the main reason behind wanting to create a simple redirect is for affiliate marketing. Here's the situation. Let's say I've got a whole bunch of different websites and I've got an awesome offer on these widgets from this particular product creator, and he's paying a fantastic commission. So I want to put my affiliate link to his offer on all of my websites, because the more traffic I can generate towards his offer through my link, the more commissions I'm going to get. Okay, so all's fine and dandy. 2 years down the line, everything's going great. I'm making a lot of coin off of this affiliate relationship between the two of us. Then all of a sudden, let's say he sells the site, and the new owner of that site changes all of the links, maybe he just doesn't promote that product anymore, and one thing or another, but that link to that particular affiliate product no longer exists. That means that every single website that I have, and this is maybe a year or two down the line, I don't remember all those websites, but every single website that I have that I had that link on, those are now pointing to a dead link. Talk about embarrassing, but also it's just wasted traffic that I'm sending to his or her website, not benefiting me whatsoever. Actually, it's hurting me. Now then, let's back up. If I were to have used a redirect, the way that I'm going to show you how to create one here in just a minute, if I were to use a redirect, then all I have to do is go in there and point that redirect to a different offer, then automatically that URL that I had on every one of those websites is automatically now pointing towards that new affiliate offer. I don't have to go into each one of those websites individually and change those links individually. I was smart enough in the beginning to use a simple redirect, so all I have to do now, go in, change one item on one link, bing, bang, boom, it's changed everywhere throughout the internet. Okay, now that's the situation, that's the why, now here's the how. Let's go on into our cPanel control panel, come on down here to the domains panel and click on redirects. Now, there's a few different ways in which you can do this, and you got the video tutorial here, but this is the way that I do it. Now, I want to point out to you, you got two options here under the type. You've got the permanent and you've got the temporary. They're going to do the same exact thing, only the permanent will tell the visitor's browser, just like it says here, to update any bookmarks they may have created on that URL. So it's totally up to you how you want to handle this. Myself, I usually go with the temporary if I'm doing this as the affiliate situation I described a second ago. So I'm going to go with temporary, and I'm going to go with all domains. Again, there's a few different ways you can do this depending upon the setup you have. If you've got a bunch of different domains here, then you might want to just select the one. In this instance, I've only got the one domain, so it doesn't matter either way. Now then, I'm going to put the name of the directory here that I'm going to be using on my links. And let's say widgets. Well, you think I've done this before. So this is going to be the URL. It's going to be mydemonstrationsite.com/widgets. That's going to be the URL that I put on all of my websites. And that, when clicked on, is going to point to this URL here, because this is the URL to the affiliate, to the actual product creator's website, where when somebody goes here after having clicked on my link to get there, I've got it set up to where I'm going to get paid a commission if they make a purchase. So in addition to the fact that I have a URL, when at any time in the future I can easily change it by simply coming in here and replacing this, which is maybe down the line a dead link, I can replace this with a new totally different link, and it will automatically take place in all the locations that I have this URL. In addition to that, another reason is that maybe this one here is a very long and ugly looking affiliate link like what you might get from ClickBank, and I can replace that, or mask it if you will, with a shorter link that's much easier for somebody to remember, like me. So there's a couple of reasons right there. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and click on the wildcard redirect. That way, anything that I might have in this directory here will also point towards this URL. Again, this is totally up to you how you want to handle this. If you've got a specific file inside of this directory, then you might want to make those adjustments by putting maybe a / and then the name of that file .php or whatever the case. But this is basically an empty directory right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark that wildcard redirect, click on add. Now then, let's give this a whirl. First off, let me show you what this URL will produce. Right here. This is the, okay, I know, but this is the affiliate page. Let's just assume there's a whole bunch of cool, awesome widgets here, and that when the person clicks on my link, they end up here, and they're going to buy all the goodies, and then I get paid commissions. Okay, so that's what they're going to end up at. But they're going to get there by way of my URL. So whenever they click on my URL here on any of my websites throughout the entire internet, they're going to end up here. Pretty cool. And that is how you can create a simple redirect using cPanel. Thank you very much for watching this video. You have a great day. This video is going to show you just how easy it is to create a Google alert. Now, a Google alert is an email that Google sends you when Google finds new results like videos or web pages or newspaper articles or pretty much anything that match your search terms. You can use Google Alerts to monitor anything on the web. For example, you can set up alerts on your name or company name to help you with your reputation management. Now, let me tell you, reputation management is a fast-growing industry, and while I'm not saying all they do is create Google alerts, I am saying that before you spend hundreds of dollars on that type of service, you might want to try this first. And hey, even if you're still going to go with a reputation manager, then what harm will it do to at least do this as well? for free. And there are many other reasons to use Google Alerts besides just knowing what others are saying about you and your company. For example, you can keep up to date on a competitor. You can gather content related to a product that you're researching, and much, much more. Anyway, creating a Google Alert is super simple to set up. Let's go ahead and do that now. You want to log into your Google account, and I'm going to be demonstrating this by using a Gmail account. And if you don't have a Gmail account, you really ought to. It opens up the doors to so many free applications that Google offers. And besides, again, it's free. Okay, so I'm already logged into my Gmail account. What we can do at this point is, let me see, I'm looking for a bell up here. No bells. Okay, I'm just going to click on this guy here to get me to Google. You can come on in here to More, or I believe you can even go to google.com, where we're already at, /alerts. I think that'll take us there. Yep, there we are. You could also do the same thing by going into More. The problem with this, though, is that you're going to see all the other goodies that Google offers for free, and you may be distracted, and it could take hours before you get to alerts. Okay, that said, all I want to do at this point is type in whatever search query I want. And it can be just a name, maybe your competitor's name, or maybe a type of dog you're wanting to do a product research on, or anything. So let's say I'm doing some research on a particular dog breed. And as I type that in, it gives you some results right here. Now, technically it's called a chow chow, so you might get more specific by typing in the actual name. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, we do get a little bit better results here. And then the result type. Do you want everything related to these search queries? Or you want just that in the news? You want that related to blogs or videos, discussions? I would just go with everything, and then I could always change this later. How often? You've got these options here. And again, these are all personal preferences here. How many? Only the best results, all results. Again, totally up to you. And where do you want it delivered to? If you do not have a Gmail account that you're logged into, then you can just type in the email account that you want it delivered to right here. Or you could hit this, and you have it set up into a RSS feed. And here we'll show all of the alerts that you've got created, and you can edit them accordingly. Going back up here, and we click on Create Alerts, and you can click on Edit if you wanted to. You know, at some point down the line, maybe you wanted to change this to a different delivery time frame or a different type of volume. And if we check out the Gmail now, let me see if I've got anything in here. Nope, not just yet. But it won't be long before I get that first email related to that search term. And that's how easy it is to create and manage your Google Alerts. That's going to bring us to the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a great day.